Most men who are struggling down there are already drinking something that could fix the problem. They just don't know what to add to it. Green tea. That humble cup sitting on your kitchen counter right now. Men have been drinking it for cardiovascular health, for antioxidants, for longevity. And they are not wrong. But here is the part no urologist is telling their patients during a 10-minute appointment. Green tea on its own absorbs into your bloodstream at a rate of less than 20%. That means 80% of its most powerful circulatory compounds. The very compounds that open blood vessels, restore blood flow, and wake up the tissue that creates a firm, lasting erection, are passing through your body completely unused. And there is one specific ingredient. 1. That when you stir it into your green tea before bed tonight, can increase that absorption by up to 2,000%. Not over months. Not with a prescription. Starting tonight. I have seen men in their 70s and 80s, men who were absolutely convinced that part of their life was over, experience changes they described to me with tears in their eyes. Stay with me, because what I am about to share changes everything. I want you to think back for just a moment. Think back to when mornings felt different. When you would wake up and before you even opened your eyes, before you even thought about the day ahead, your body was already awake, already ready. That firmness, that automatic, reliable, almost embarrassing morning response that you probably took completely for granted. You did not have to think about it. You did not have to hope for it. It was simply there. And now you open your eyes and you wait. You lie there for a moment, quietly hoping that maybe today will be different. Maybe this morning your body will remember what it used to do without thinking. But it doesn't. And what is worse, far worse than the physical part, is what happens next. You start to change your behavior around it. You stop reaching for her the way you used to. You start going to bed a little later, hoping she will already be asleep. You create small, invisible distances between the two of you. Not because the love has faded, not because the desire is gone, but because you are terrified of that moment, that quiet, awful moment, when your body does not answer. And you tell yourself it is just age. You tell yourself it is normal. You tell yourself that this is simply how it goes after 60, after 70, after 80. Every man around you seems to have accepted the same thing, so maybe you should too. But something inside you, and I believe that something is the reason you clicked on this video today, refuses to fully accept it. Good. Because it is not over. Not even close. What I am going to show you today is not a trick. It is not a supplement. It is not a pill that costs $300 a month and comes with a terrifying list of side effects. It is a cup of tea, made the right way, with the right ingredients, at the right time. Let me show you exactly how it works. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. I am a board-certified urologist with over 20 years of clinical experience, and my entire practice is dedicated exclusively to one thing: helping men over 60 reclaim their sexual health, their vitality, and their confidence naturally. I have sat across from thousands of men who walked into my office staring at the floor, men who whispered their symptoms as if they were shameful secrets, men who had been told by other doctors that there was nothing to be done except medication with side effects that traded one problem for 3 more. What I found over 20 years is that most of these men were not broken. They were simply missing specific biological inputs their bodies needed to function the way they were designed to. And when you give the body what it is asking for, precisely, intentionally, consistently, it responds, often dramatically. Before I walk you through everything, if you are not yet subscribed to Vital Health Seniors, please do that right now. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. I release clinically grounded men's health content every single week. The kind of information most doctors simply do not have time to cover in a standard appointment. You deserve access to all of it. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening inside your body, and why this simple cup of tea may be the most important thing you do for yourself tonight. Here is the truth that most men never hear. The reason your erections have weakened, the reason they are slower to arrive, softer than they used to be, or have stopped showing up altogether, is almost certainly not low testosterone. I know. Every conversation about men's sexual health eventually comes back to testosterone. And yes, testosterone matters. But in my 2 decades of practice, I have tested countless men who had perfectly adequate testosterone levels and still struggled significantly with erections. Why? Because erections are not primarily a hormone event. They are a blood flow event. To create a full, firm, lasting erection, your body needs to flood the penile tissue with blood, rapidly, powerfully, and in sufficient volume. For that to happen, a specific molecule must be produced inside the cells lining your blood vessels. That molecule is called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the biological switch that tells your penile arteries to relax and expand, allowing blood to rush in with force. When nitric oxide is abundant, erections are strong, reliable, and satisfying. When nitric oxide declines, which it does with age, with chronic inflammation, with stress, with poor sleep, and with decades of dietary habits that slowly damage vascular tissue, the arteries cannot open wide enough. Blood flow drops. Erections weaken. And eventually they stop. This is called endothelial dysfunction. And it is the silent cause behind the vast majority of erectile difficulties in men over 60. Here is where green tea enters the picture. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. EGCG is one of the most potent natural stimulators of nitric oxide production that exists in any food or drink on this planet. Research has confirmed that EGCG activates the enzyme that produces nitric oxide inside the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels. It directly restores the biological switch that aging turned off. And this is where most men stop short of results. EGCG is notoriously difficult for the human body to absorb. Without the right delivery companion, the vast majority of it is destroyed before it ever reaches your bloodstream. That is the missing piece. That is what this video is about. The one ingredient that unlocks the full power of green tea for your sexual health is something you have had in your kitchen your entire life. Black pepper. Not the pre-ground powder sitting in a plastic shaker for 2 years. Freshly cracked black pepper. And the reason it works comes down to one compound locked inside each peppercorn. A compound called piperine. Piperine does something remarkable inside the body. It inhibits a set of liver enzymes responsible for breaking down EGCG before it enters the bloodstream. These enzymes are supposed to protect your body from foreign compounds, but in doing so, they destroy up to 80% of the EGCG from your green tea before it ever reaches your blood vessels. When piperine enters your system alongside EGCG, it essentially disarms those enzymes. It holds the door open. And published research has confirmed that piperine increases the bioavailability of EGCG by up to 2,000%. 2,000%. That is the difference between your green tea doing almost nothing for your circulation and your green tea becoming one of the most powerful natural nitric oxide protocols available to a man your age. Within 60 to 90 minutes of consuming this combination, nitric oxide production in your endothelial cells increases measurably. Your penile arteries begin to relax. The smooth muscle tissue inside the erectile chambers begins to receive the blood flow signal it has been waiting for. Men who have added just a crack of fresh black pepper to their nightly green tea describe something they stopped expecting. A warmth returning to the pelvic region. A pressure. A fullness that they had quietly, privately grieved losing. One patient of mine, a 72-year-old retired firefighter, came back to my office after 4 weeks and told me he had woken up 3 mornings in a row with firmness he had not experienced in nearly a decade. He said, "I thought that part of me was just gone, Dr. Anderson." It was not gone. It was waiting for the door to be opened. And black pepper opens it. But the story does not end there. Because while black pepper and green tea work together to unlock nitric oxide production, there are 4 additional ingredients that each address a completely different mechanism standing between you and full, reliable erections. Together, they create a nighttime environment inside your body specifically optimized for sexual restoration while you sleep. The first is raw honey, and I want you to understand something that most men find genuinely shocking when I explain it in my office. The majority of men over 60 do not have low testosterone in terms of what their body produces. What they have is testosterone that is trapped. Testosterone in your bloodstream exists in two forms. Bound testosterone, attached to a protein called SHBG, sex hormone-binding globulin, and free testosterone, which is the active form your muscles, your brain, your libido, and your erectile tissue can actually use. As men age, SHBG levels rise. More and more testosterone gets bound up, locked away, inaccessible. You could have reasonable total testosterone and still feel exhausted, soft, foggy, and sexually disconnected, because nearly all of it is being held hostage. Raw, unfiltered honey contains meaningful levels of a mineral called boron. And boron is one of the very few natural compounds shown in clinical research to reduce SHBG levels, effectively freeing bound testosterone and increasing the circulating free testosterone your body can actually use. 1 week of consistent boron intake at levels achievable through raw honey has been associated with increases in free testosterone of nearly 30%. 30%. Not from taking more testosterone, from freeing the testosterone you already have. And when raw honey is paired with green tea, the natural compounds in honey combined with the antioxidant activity of EGCG help stabilize blood glucose levels through the night. This matters enormously because blood sugar spikes trigger an inflammatory cascade that directly suppresses nitric oxide production. When blood sugar stays stable, the nitric oxide pathway stays open and protected through the hours when your body needs it most. 1 teaspoon of raw honey. Not processed syrup, raw and unfiltered. Stirred into your green tea creates a liberated testosterone environment and a protected nitric oxide environment simultaneously. The second addition is fresh ginger. If black pepper and EGCG are the ignition and raw honey is the fuel, ginger is the accelerator. Ginger root contains 2 classes of bioactive compounds, gingerols and shogales, that work directly on the vascular system in ways specifically relevant to male sexual function. Ginger is a powerful vasodilator. It relaxes the smooth muscle tissue lining your blood vessels, increasing their diameter and reducing resistance to blood flow. Research has shown that ginger produces measurable improvements in blood flow to peripheral tissues, including the pelvic region, within hours of consumption. Ginger also reduces oxidative stress inside the testes, the testosterone-producing structures that by the time a man reaches his 60s and 70s have often endured decades of inflammatory damage. Studies examining testosterone production have shown that regular ginger supplementation can increase testosterone levels by up to 17% by improving blood supply to and reducing inflammation within testicular tissue. And ginger's active compounds are fat-soluble. They need a lipid environment to be absorbed efficiently. The natural compounds in honey create a delivery matrix inside the gut that carries gingerols and shogales into the bloodstream with far greater efficiency than ginger consumed alone. The combination rewards you in ways that none of these ingredients could achieve individually. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger, or quality ginger powder if fresh is unavailable, to your tea. The taste is bold and warming. And that warming sensation in your chest as you drink it? That is your vascular system responding in real time. The third ingredient is Ceylon cinnamon, and I need to tell you about something that happens every single night to almost every man over 60 that almost no one connects to their sexual health. Every evening, typically 1 to 3 hours after dinner, blood sugar rises. For many older men, particularly those who eat a moderate to late evening meal, this nightly glucose elevation is significant. And elevated blood glucose directly, immediately suppresses nitric oxide production. When blood sugar spikes, the body generates reactive oxygen species, free radicals, that chemically deactivate nitric oxide before it can do its job. The very molecule your penile arteries need to relax and open is being destroyed while you sleep. This is why so many men wake up with weaker morning erections than they had even 5 years ago. It is not that their bodies have forgotten how to produce the signal. It is that a nightly glucose event is chemically neutralizing it every single night. Cinnamon contains a compound called cinnamaldehyde, extensively studied for its ability to improve insulin sensitivity and blunt post-meal blood sugar elevation. When consumed in the evening, cinnamon flattens the nightly glucose curve. keeping blood sugar stable through the hours when your body is supposed to be producing its strongest testosterone and nitric oxide pulse. When your blood sugar stays stable overnight, the nitric oxide produced by your EGCG and piperine combination stays active and intact. Your body can actually use what you gave it. A quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled true cinnamon or Sri Lankan cinnamon, not the common cassia variety, dissolved into your tea completes this protective layer. Men who add cinnamon to this protocol describe waking up with a clarity and steadiness they had not felt in years. Not just firmness, though that returns too, but a sense that their body had actually rebuilt during the night rather than simply waiting out the dark hours until morning. The fourth and final addition is a small pinch of turmeric, and this one addresses something affecting every system we have discussed so far. There is a force attacking your sexual health right now that you cannot feel, cannot see, and if no one has told you, do not know is there. Chronic low-grade inflammation. By the time a man reaches his 60s or 70s, most carry a significant burden of it. It lives in the walls of blood vessels. It lives in testicular tissue. It interferes with the neurological signaling that initiates desire and arousal. It does not cause pain in these locations. What it does is quietly, systematically reduce the function of every system involved in male sexual performance. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most well-documented natural anti-inflammatory compounds in the scientific literature. But here is what most people never understand. Curcumin is nearly useless without fat and without piperine. On its own, it absorbs so poorly that you could consume tablespoons of turmeric and receive almost no benefit at the tissue level. But in this combination, the piperine from your black pepper, the same compound already unlocking your EGCG, simultaneously increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. The piperine works double duty. You are delivering curcumin with extraordinary efficiency directly to the inflamed vascular and testicular tissues that need it most, from one ingredient already in your cup. Just 1/8 of a teaspoon dissolved into your tea. Men who sustain this protocol for 30 days describe something they struggle to put into words. They say they feel like their body has stopped fighting itself. Like they got younger somehow, but quietly. Not a sudden explosion of energy, a slow, steady return of something they thought had left them for good. Now I want to give you the exact recipe. Write this down, screenshot it, or save this video. Because this is the precise protocol I now recommend to patients before I even discuss pharmaceutical options. Start with 1 cup of high-quality green tea, loose leaf or a good single-ingredient bag. Brew it at approximately 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling, because boiling water degrades EGCG significantly. Steep for 3 to 4 minutes. While the tea is still warm, add 1 crack of freshly ground black pepper from whole peppercorns. Add 1 teaspoon of raw, unfiltered honey. Look for the word raw on the label because processed honey has been heated and filtered, destroying the boron and its most beneficial compounds. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger or quality ginger powder. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. And finally a small pinch, just 1/8 of a teaspoon, of turmeric powder. Stir everything together and drink it slowly, approximately 45 minutes before sleep. 2 things to avoid. Do not add dairy milk. Milk proteins bind to EGCG and reduce its absorption by up to 70%, largely defeating the purpose. And do not drink it alongside a high-sugar dessert or snack. The blood sugar spike works directly against the cinnamon's protective function before it even begins. If you want something creamy, a small amount of coconut milk is perfectly acceptable and actually enhances the fat-soluble delivery of the ginger and curcumin. 1 cup. 5 ingredients. 45 minutes before bed. Every night. I want to explain something that I think will change how you understand your own body and why this timing matters so deeply. Most men think of sexual health as a daytime issue. They notice the problem during waking hours, the failed moments, the body that does not respond when called upon. So they reach for daytime solutions. Adjustments made in the moment. But the biological repair of sexual function, the real, structural rebuilding of your nitric oxide pathways, your vascular health, your testosterone production, happens at night, between approximately 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. Your body enters what researchers call the anabolic window. Testosterone pulses at its highest circulating level of the day. Growth hormone releases in its largest daily surge. The cells lining your blood vessels enter their primary regeneration phase. Repairing oxidative damage, rebuilding flexibility, restoring their capacity to produce nitric oxide on demand. This is when your body is supposed to be rebuilding the machinery of your masculinity. But by the time most men reach their late 60s, the internal conditions during those nighttime hours have deteriorated so significantly that the rebuild never fully happens. Blood sugar is elevated. Inflammation is high. Nitric oxide production is suppressed. The body's repair systems arrive on schedule, but the biochemical environment is too hostile to complete their work. And you wake up exactly as you went to sleep. Or a little worse. This green tea combination changes those nighttime conditions entirely. It opens the nitric oxide pathway through EGCG and piperine. It stabilizes blood sugar through the cinnamon. It reduces the vascular inflammation blocking repair through the curcumin. It frees testosterone through the boron in the honey. It drives blood to the tissues that need rebuilding through the gingerols. It turns your sleep from a holding pattern into a genuine restoration. And when that restoration accumulates, night after night, week after week, men do not just notice changes in the bedroom. Their mornings feel cleaner. Their thinking is sharper. Their energy sustains longer. Their mood steadies. Their body feels reconnected. Like something that had gone very quiet inside them has slowly, steadily begun to speak again. I know some of you are sitting with doubts right now, and I respect that. So let me address the 3 most common ones I hear in my practice. The first. Dr. Anderson, I have tried natural approaches before and nothing worked. Almost every time I investigate this, I find the same issue. The intervention was delivering the right compound in a form the body could not absorb. Most natural remedies fail not because the ingredient is ineffective, but because the bioavailability is negligible. This combination is specifically built around delivery. The piperine is the key that unlocks everything else. Without it, 80% of the active compound is wasted. With it, you are giving your body a therapeutically meaningful dose of natural nitric oxide support for possibly the very first time. The second. I am in my late 70s. Surely it is too late. With the greatest clinical respect, no. The endothelial cells lining your blood vessels retain their capacity to produce nitric oxide well into advanced age. They are not dead. They are suppressed. Change the biochemical environment, and they respond. I have patients in their late 70s and early 80s who have experienced genuine restoration. Biology is far more flexible than most men have been led to believe. The third. My doctor never mentioned any of this. Your doctor is not withholding information, but the average clinical appointment for erectile difficulties lasts under 12 minutes. There is no room for a conversation about piperine bioavailability and EGCG absorption kinetics. That does not mean the science does not exist. It means you have to seek it out, which is exactly what you are doing right now. I want to speak to you now not as a physician with a protocol to share, but as someone who has spent 20 years witnessing what happens when men reclaim this part of themselves. Because this conversation is about more than erections. I think you know that. I think you knew it when you clicked on this video today. It is about the man you feel like when your body is working. It is about the confidence that lives in your posture when you walk into a room feeling vital. It is about the way you reach for your partner, not with hesitation or fear or careful management of expectations, but with the quiet certainty of a man who trusts his body will answer when called. That certainty changes everything. It changes how you carry yourself through an ordinary day. It changes how you sleep and how you wake. It changes how you laugh, how you communicate, how present you are in your own life. When your body works, you inhabit it fully. When it does not, you begin hovering around the edges of your own existence, managing, accommodating, slowly shrinking. Too many men have accepted that shrinking is inevitable. They have been told by a culture, and sometimes by their own doctors, that after a certain age this part of life simply closes. That a graceful man accepts it quietly. I reject that completely. I have watched men in their 70s cry in my office. Not from sadness, but from relief. From the shock of realizing that the decline they had accepted as permanent was actually reversible. That the man they remembered being was not a memory. He was still there, waiting beneath years of inflammation and poor circulation, and unmet biological needs, waiting for the right conditions to re-emerge. Your body has not given up on you. It has been waiting, with extraordinary patience, for you to give it what it has been quietly asking for. 1 cup. Tonight. 45 minutes before you sleep. That is the first step. Not a grand gesture, a quiet, private commitment between you and the man you still are beneath everything that has dimmed. And once you take that step, once you feel the first warmth returning, the first morning where something is unmistakably different, you will understand why I have devoted 20 years of my professional life to making sure men like you receive this information. You deserve it. Not when you were 40. Now. At whatever age you are watching this. You deserve to feel alive in your own body. You deserve intimacy without fear. You deserve mornings with purpose and evenings with confidence, and a sense of yourself that aging never had the right to take. Before I let you go, 3 additional things you can pair with this protocol that will accelerate your results. First, add zinc-rich foods earlier in the day. Zinc is the mineral your body uses to complete the final enzymatic steps of testosterone synthesis. Without adequate zinc, the entire production chain stalls regardless of what else you do. Pumpkin seeds, oysters, and lean red meat are your most concentrated sources. A small handful of raw pumpkin seeds 3 to 4 times per week will make a meaningful difference. Second, stop using antibacterial mouthwash in the morning. The nitrate to nitric oxide conversion this green tea combination triggers begins in your mouth, mediated by specific oral bacteria. Antibacterial mouthwash eliminates those bacteria, blocking up to 90% of the nitric oxide cascade before it starts. Move your mouthwash to the evening only. Your morning oral bacteria are part of your sexual health system, and they need to be there. Third, get 10 to 15 minutes of direct morning sunlight as early as you can. Morning sunlight stimulates vitamin D production, a critical cofactor for testosterone synthesis, and resets your cortisol rhythm for the day. When cortisol is properly timed, it stops competing with testosterone through the afternoon and evening. Open a window. Step outside. That simple act supports everything this nighttime protocol is doing while you sleep. If you are still with me, the fact that you watched this all the way through tells me something about you. It tells me you are not the kind of man who accepts there is nothing to be done as a final answer. You are still fighting for yourself. And that is exactly the kind of man this channel exists for. Hit the like button, not for me, but for every man searching for this information who has not found it yet. Every like tells YouTube this content needs to reach more men. Men suffering quietly, accepting a diminished version of themselves because nobody told them the truth. Your one click changes who this reaches. Share this video with someone you care about. A friend, a brother, a husband, a father. You do not have to make it a conversation. Just send the link. That simple act could genuinely change the direction of someone's health. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors if you are not yet part of this community, and turn on the notification bell. And drop your age in the comments below. Just your age. Nothing else required. I want to see who is in this community. And I want every man who scrolls through those comments and sees men at 65, 70, 75, 80, still seeking, still refusing to accept decline as a verdict, to feel less alone in this. I am Dr. Mei Anderson, and I will see you in the next video. Your vitality is not behind you. It is waiting 1 cup at a time.